Welcome to Global Investment Voice, your premier podcast for diving deep into the world of investment migration. Are you dreaming of a second or third passport? Then join us as we traverse the globe, exploring the ins and outs of the US EB-5 immigrant investor visa, uncover the secrets of golden visas, and delve into the many residency and citizenship by investment programs. Each episode is packed with exclusive insights from top industry experts. Whether you're an investor, developer, or a visionary entrepreneur, we're here to guide you through the complexities of global investment migration. And who better to navigate this journey with than your hosts, the dynamic legal duo of this industry, Mona Shah and Rebecca Singh. Plus, hear directly from a lineup of global investment migration leaders. So, buckle up and tune in to Global Investment Voice, where your global investment journey begins and expands.
Hello, everyone. The RCBI industry was shocked back earlier this year, April 29 to be exact, when the European Court of Justice ruled against the Maltese CBI programs. It actually stated, and I quote, that Malta had failed to fulfill its obligations under Article 20, and it ordered the country to pay all legal costs, condemning the Maltese programs for establishing what it had called a transactional nationalization procedure in exchange for predetermined payments or investments, and that this approach, according to ruling amounts, was basically causing the commercialization of the grant of nationality of a member state, and by extension, that of a union citizenship of one of the European Union states. So at that time, as I said, we were all shocked. Was this going to be the end of the CBI program in Malta? There has been some developments in the Maltese programs. So here today to discuss with us is Dr. James Muscat Azzopardi. James is a lawyer based in Malta. He's an official authorized agent for the Maltese residence program, but he has 25 years of experience, and as a partner of one of Malta's leading commercial law firms, Muscat Azzopardi and Associates, apologies, James,
No problem.
where James advises global clientele on complex issues relating to second citizenship, residence within the European Union, and other related issues. James is a tutor and supervisor at the University of Malta and a founding member of the Maltese Spanish Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, James.
Hi, thank you very much.
So, James, you remember that day back in April, right? April 29th, we're all together in Athens at the IMI conference?
It's very difficult to forget that. No, I was actually invited to the IMI conference to speak about my topic there was Malta's victory at the European Court of Justice ruling. And I remember writing to the organizers and say, look, everyone's expecting a victory, but court is court. So let's see how that goes. Little did I expect. No one really expected a ruling against Malta, and we'll go into why later on, unless you want me to go into it now.
But James, that was back in April, and we are now the end of July, and that's not too many months, but I do understand that Malta, yes, it's going to terminate its Maltese program. I believe, what is it called? Exceptional Investor Naturalization Program? You have a long name.
Yes, we call it MAIN in Exceptional Investor, but naturalization,
That's
we call it MAIN in short. And that program was terminated with immediate effect as of the day of the decision.
Oh, so there has been no program for the last 4 months.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if that program has been terminated, what happened to any applicants who were in the program prior?
That is a question which has not been fully answered as yet. So any applicants that had been approved but were not given a passport yet, they were actually given a passport and they're in the process of being given passports. As regards individuals and applicants that are still at the due diligence stage, as of today, we don't have an official position. The expectation in the industry is that successful applicants would still be given a passport or be given Maltese citizenship possibly through the merit-based program.
So they would be grandfathered in on the old program?
That is the expectation from the industry, but we don't have guidelines and we don't have an official position from Comunità Malta, which is the agency responsible as yet.
But I do understand that the Maltese Parliament right now is fast tracking a new citizenship by merit bill. Have you had sight of that bill? Do you know if there is anything in that bill which covers grandfathering?
No, there's nothing in that bill which specifically covers grandfathering. The bill merely introduces a very brief amendment to our Citizenship Act, which is technically it's up Article 9 of Article 10, which widens the definition of citizenship by merit. The concept of citizenship by merit it existed in the sense that the law said that a minister could grant citizenship to anyone that the minister considered fit. But that was, I would say, very rarely used and was especially not in use during citizenship by investment program, which made sense because once people are paying, let's say, close to €1 million for citizenship, it wasn't in Malta's interest to give out citizenship without any contribution, without any financial contribution.
But I have to say that the language on here is pretty damning when they say transactional nationalization and predetermined payments. It's basically just saying you can't sell citizenship.
Correct. Now, whether it's damning or not, I'll go into. So, what the Commission asked for is for Malta's citizenship by investment to be stopped on the basis that, two main bases actually, on the basis that it is purely transactional and also that it does not require any genuine link with Malta.
So, James, let's take it back a step. Explain to us really briefly, what was the original Maltese program?
Okay, Rebecca, the original Maltese program was a pure citizenship by investment program. So it was transactional. The main requirement for the program was a one-off payment to the Maltese government, a one-off contribution to the Maltese government, which was €750,000 for the main applicant, and then further payments per dependent. So when our program was called transactional by the European Commission, that is a fair assessment of the program. It was transactional.
But aren't all programs, all of the CBI programs are transactional?
Yes, that's a very fair point, Mona. And that's where I was getting to. That's where I was getting to. So we were accused of having a transactional program, which is true, but it's also true that there is nowhere within the EU treaties or anywhere in European Union legislation that prohibits a transactional program.
Yeah, exactly.
So we had a one-off payment together with a very thorough due diligence process. Now, as practitioners, we can confirm how thorough that was. And it was really thorough, as in the source of wealth, the background checks were really, really thorough, carried out by extremely professional firms. It's, I would say, impossible, or it was virtually impossible for anyone undesirable to fall through the net, to actually acquire citizenship. The EU decided that was not desirable, and the European Union's Attorney General, prior to the decision, recommended that the court finds in favor of Malta. This is why no one expected the decision as it was to be against Malta, because normally it's somewhere between 85 and 90% of cases the court follows the Attorney General's decision. And the Attorney General said, yes, Malta's program is transactional, but there's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, the decision was against Malta. Does that mean that citizenship by investment is over? Absolutely, yes. So Mona, you asked that before, and the answer is definitely.
But, so this new program, the one that is being fast-tracked, when do we expect this to go forward, and can you tell us a little bit about it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a totally different concept. So there is no financial contribution. The new program is purely merit-based. And till now, we only have a very brief amendment in the law. We don't have guidelines as yet. But the amendment says that Maltese citizenship can be given to anyone who renders exceptional services to Malta. Now that the actual law includes the possibility of job creation, scientists, researchers, athletes, cultural performers, it's very wide, philanthropists, it's very wide, and it merely says that if the applicant is seen to have made a considerable contribution to the government or to the well-being of Malta in general, then that person may be granted citizenship.
So they're looking for more active people because, sorry to interrupt James here, but Rebecca, you know what I'm seeing? I am seeing a mix of an EB5 job
Mhm.
creation program along with our EB1 A and C for people of extraordinary ability.
That's exactly what I was thinking as well. It's a combined program because we have the same, James, we have the EB5 program,
Yes,
even
I'm
though it's an
familiar with those,
investment.
and you're absolutely correct, Mona. That's
Yeah.
exactly where we're going.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then with EB1, we have the same scientists, any athletes, even anyone with, again, that exceptional ability.
Yeah. James, are you expecting people to actively take part? Is this no more the situation where someone is passive unless they come in and do job creation?
Yes, that's what we're expecting. And we're expecting a different type of applicant, a different type of client. So whereas you had clients who merely made the contribution and did not really contribute to Malta, this is going to attract a different type of client and a client that does have to have a genuine link to Malta. So I very much doubt that anyone is going to be able to not reside in Malta and be accepted. We're still at a very early stage, and what normally happens in this case is that government will issue guidelines, which we don't have yet.
Mm, right.
It's a very different concept, and as speaking purely as a lawyer here, I prefer very strict guidelines because they're easier for us to interpret and to help clients interpret. So the beauty of the previous program was that if, Mona, you asked me, I have a client who's interested in Maltese citizenship, what are the requirements? I could give you the exact requirements, and you knew that you could send those to your client, and it was very transparent.
Right.
Once your client satisfies requirements, he or she are in.
Right.
Now, this is very different. It's going to be different for practitioners. As you know, they have abolished the concept of agent, so applications will be handled by lawyers.
Which
And
is a good
again,
thing. That's a good thing. It's something that other programs should consider. No?
speaking as a lawyer, selfish speaking, yes, but I might be biased. I might be biased.
That's a different topic, actually.
Yeah. Well, what I find interesting is we are comparing it to the US programs, Mona, that this is going right into citizenship, James, right? It's not residency because in the US, it's a residency program first. So you get the green card and then you can maybe naturalize later for citizenship. But this is automatic citizenship.
It is automatic citizenship. However, I can imagine that most clients, if not all, will first go for the residence program. One thing that I'd like to mention is that Malta's permanent residence program is there to stay. It's actually very recently, as in a couple of weeks ago, been tweaked slightly to make it even more attractive. And the intention is to attract more applicants, some of whom will be able to apply for citizenship. So the changes do address the European Commission's two main concerns. So the first concern was a purely transactional program, and this is not transactional at all, so it's not a question of a payment. And the second was the lack of a genuine link to Malta. I'm absolutely sure that no one is going to be given citizenship under this program without a genuine link to Malta.
Yeah, and then that will certainly stop any further challenges from the European Commission. James, do you envisage, though, that the amount of numbers would go down? Because Malta was definitely a popular destination.
I would envisage short-term a reduction in the number of applicants. However, long-term, Mona will still need to see how easy or otherwise the process is, and that will make or break the program. If over the years, the next couple of years, we see that it's relatively straightforward for someone valuable to apply and actually be granted citizenship, then that will be interesting. If not, the numbers will dwindle. I do expect the numbers to dwindle for the simple reason that a number of our clients did not actually reside in Malta. So when you're speaking about people who had a certain level of wealth, at that stage you needed enough wealth to be able to pay more or less €1 million, then it's difficult to tie that family down to living in Malta. We might have a different type of applicant here. So we might have applicants here that are not well off, but still acquire Maltese citizenship. So when the law refers to researchers, athletes, cultural performers, it's a very different type of applicant, a very, very different type of applicant.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, the removal of the references to investors and financial thresholds immediately denotes that type of situation. What are the costs, though, at this point, if somebody wants to just come and have residency in Malta?
So the costs for residency are a one-off payment to government amounting to €97,000 for the applicant's spouse or partner. And our definition of spouse or partners is pretty wide and includes same-sex partnerships and any minor children. So under the new residence program or the tweaked residence program, it's 97,000 for those, and then an additional €7,500 for adult dependents, children up until the age of 29, which is quite high.
Yeah, that is.
So
Wow.
yeah, so it's very attractive. You also need to satisfy a property requirement, which means you need to either buy or rent property in Malta. The minimums are pretty low. So if we're speaking about rent, it's 14,000 a year, euros, I was speaking euros, and purchase is €375,000. In reality, if you come to Malta and you want a decent accommodation, you're going to spend more than that. So I'd say offhand for rental, you're always looking at, let's say, a couple of €1,000 a month. And if you're buying something decent, you're looking at around €500,000. But that's it.
Is there an English language requirement?
No, there's no language requirement.
I shouldn't say English. I would just say a language requirement.
There's no language requirement.
Okay.
And there's no minimum stay, this is really attractive as well. There's no minimum stay in Malta for residents. Now, if you want to acquire permanent residence with the ultimate aim of applying for citizenship, then we definitely recommend that you reside in Malta. But if you just want the right to reside here, then there's no minimum stay. And it does allow visa-free access to Schengen area.
So there's quite a few flexibility within the
It's quite a good program. It's not expensive.
No, it is. It's definitely, I can see it. It's pulling the brain drain, so to speak. But people with ability, I can see it trying to pull that forward. And James, in what ways do you feel that this citizenship by merit framework really aligns with Malta's vision for 2050?
That's a very good question. And it seems to be designed based on Malta's 2050 vision, because we have to keep in mind, Mona and Rebecca, that Malta is a tiny country. I mean, we are really, really small. We don't have natural resources. We cannot have a huge amount of manufacturing. So we need to be clever in aligning our vision with as high tech as possible. So small industries that are very high on technology without a significant cost to the environment. So we're looking at obviously AI, we're looking at clean tech, And I would definitely say that anyone who can help Malta reach its 2050 vision goals will have a much better chance of acquiring Maltese citizenship by merit.
James, this really is really interesting.
Thank you.
And Rebecca, don't you think that James is so clear?
Yeah, I thought, if, especially for our listeners, is putting everything, it's a short podcast, but, a lot came out from this, and knowing what the old program to the new program is just put everything into perspective.
But looking ahead, James, but very seriously, as you have said, you hit the nail on the head when you said it's a very small country and it's a beautiful country. Rebecca and I visited it a couple of years ago, and we really enjoyed it. We love the food.
Yeah.
But how do you foresee? Classic question. How do you foresee the new Citizenship by Merit program actually impacting Malta's economy and international reputation?
I'll start from the latter, reputation. The truth is that whether we like it or not, citizenship by investment programs always had a negative reputation, probably unfairly, I would say, and this is a very personal opinion, but very unfair.
I agree.
Because the idea is that Europe is allowing criminals in because they're rich, and that can't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
So if we just look at numbers, Malta's program attracted between 200 and 300 applications a year, which is tiny, whereas around 1.1 million people become European citizens each year through every other program, including granting citizenship to refugees, to anyone who can show that they have a Polish great-grandfather or whatever, and knowing very little about the people involved. So in reality, I would say that these 200, 300 applications are the ones which are screened, most thoroughly. But the reputation is what it is. So the fact that now we're speaking about a merit-based process, that definitely helps Malta's reputation. As regards economically, I can definitely see that rather than attracting someone who makes a one-off payment, attracting someone who genuinely contributes over the years to Malta's progress will definitely be of benefit to the entire country, 100%.
Well, we hope so, and we look forward to speaking with you again, James, once you have clear guidance and we know where the program is going.
Absolutely, with pleasure. This has actually been fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming to Global Investment Voice.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mona. Thank you, Rebecca.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Global Investment Voice. A huge thank you to all our listeners for tuning in and sharing this journey with us. Curious about unlocking the potential of global migration and citizenship? Make sure to visit us online at mshallah.com and globalinvestmentvoice.com. Dive into our extensive library of podcast episodes. Stay ahead with the latest in migration news by signing up for our insider newsletter. Don't forget to connect with us on social media. Find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook to keep the conversation going. Remember, the insights shared in our podcast are for informational purposes only, so please seek tailored legal, financial, or investment advice where needed. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep investing smart and living well with Global Investment Voice. We'll see you on the next episode.